Right, I'm going live to YouTube because I'm actually on a Facebook ban, and that's why I'm sitting in my car. My daughter, I just had to be gone for an appointment with my daughter, and I thought, well, while I'm sitting in the car waiting for her, I want you to do a little thing about the fact that free speech is literally dead. It's literally dead, and democracy is dying on a deathbed. Because there are people's opinions who I don't share, people's opinions who, and if there's anybody on here, can you click onto my Facebook and onto my Twitter account. If you look on Twitter under @DITS131294, you will find me on there. You could hit the like on that so that it comes up on my Twitter account. So I'm looking and seeing, now there are people whose opinions I don't share. I don't share their opinions, I don't share their views, I don't agree with some of their opinions, I don't agree with some of their views, both left and right wing. But there is a huge difference between free speech and hate speech. And when you see, like, for example, I shared a YouTube video of a man called Ahmed Patel. Ahmed Patel is the brother-in-law of the 7/7 bomber. But that's not who he is. He is not a terrorist. He's a very decent guy who is very outspoken about these Muslim rape gangs that are operating in this country. And as he has rightly said, one, that is terrorism in itself. Two, that's creating terrorism. And the reason you see things like Christchurch, and that was abhorrent, it was an abhorrent crime, it was a terrorist crime. That man, what he did was absolutely unacceptable. But creation of that comes from the fact that we are not allowed to have a discussion. We can't talk about Muslim rape gangs. We can't say the word Muslim rape gang. We're told we're bad people if we say that word. We're not bad people for pointing out something that's factually correct, that's factually true. I'm not to blame for the fact that statistically, and I had this argument on my Twitter this last couple of weeks, where a guy saying to me, there's more white rapists. We know there are more white rapists. There are more white paedophiles in a majority country that still has a majority of white people. Of course there is. We know that paedophiles work online together and exchange information amongst themselves. We know this too. But with Muslim rape gangs, the way they operate is different. And Ahmed pointed out that there is a connection and that we must have this conversation. We must be able to talk about it. We must be able to have this conversation. But by telling us we can't, you will create a reaction. Because for every action is a reaction. So I shared the video to my Facebook account and I got a 30-day ban immediately. I was speaking in defence of what Ahmed was saying. So even speaking in defence of what a Muslim man was saying, which was factually correct, got me a 30-day ban. But it wasn't a 30-day ban. It was a 40-day ban. They're not banning me for 30 days. They're banning me for 40 days every time, sometimes even 50 days. I know how long when my ban started, and I know when it was due to finish. It doesn't now finish until April the 11th, because they've extended it. They haven't told me they've extended it, they've just extended it. I went onto my backup account. I uploaded the same video and I said, well said, Ahmed, a Muslim man calling it as it is, well said. I got a 30-day ban. So free speech is not the same as hate speech. I have never ever said, and then this is something I pointed out when I was going to be part of do you know my brain? You know, a blank moment. I was supposed to be part of a documentary, but because of what I do and because of the fact that I have taken in Muslim women and I've helped Muslim women, I've given them a place to stay in my own home when they're fleeing honour-based violence, because I have been a support network for Muslim women who have been abused because of honour-based violence, because I equally will help girls who have been raped by Muslim men. This has included Muslim women who have been forced to marry their rapists in this country. And I've been the support network because other Muslims have turned their back on them. And because of that, the actual documentary that was being done, it didn't really fit in with the repertoire. In other words, it didn't fit in with the agenda of the BBC. That's what it boils down to. The lady was great about it, and she's going to do another documentary with regards to the rape gangs, and then hopefully I will be taking part. And I'm not going to be. I am unapologetic, and I will never apologise for calling it for what it is. Yet when I put out a tweet of a Catholic priest who'd been raping. He got away raping this man. 25 years it took this man to get justice. And even then there was no real justice. And the Catholics, the Pope, sweeping it under the carpet were Muslim men. That's 2.5% of the population of the UK. And yet responsible for 84% of rape gangs. Talking about your opportunistic rapists. We're not talking about the father interfering with the daughter or the uncle who has groomed the niece. We're talking about them between uncles, brothers and cousins, who then invite their uncles and their brothers and their cousins. The modus operandi is different. It's different to how other rapists operate and how other paedophiles operate. This is a business. These men traffic these girls. That money is funding terrorism. Statement of fact, it's funding terrorism. Me saying that, not hate speech. It's freedom of speech, it's truth, and it's fact. I'm not telling lies, I'm not making it up. The stats are there, people can go and find them. And yet, I get a Facebook ban. Now we see people are getting their YouTube controlled. And people aren't getting notifications where people go live on YouTube. Then they get, same as when I go live on Facebook, nobody gets a notification that I've gone live on Facebook. It was a little glitch there. The same happens with Robinson, where they turn around and they've said, according to them, saying that, oh, why are you not showing me them then? They're saying that their live chats are there, they're not. So Robinson, his channel now, they're limiting people so that they don't know he's gone live. They're cutting down how many people can view it. They're interfering with it, basically. Whether people like him, loathe him, love him, hate him is irrelevant. He's entitled to an opinion. I don't like what Jada Franson stands for, or Britain's First, but they're doing the same thing. There's a huge difference between free speech and hate speech. But yet I can go on Facebook now. I can search and find you 20, 30 different Islamic extremist, radical, militant pages calling for the caliphate, calling for violence against non-Muslims. Still operational. Still operational. I can go on YouTube right now and find 1,001 different videos of Muslims calling for violent jihad. Why aren't they being controlled? Why aren't you shutting them down? Why are those Facebook accounts not gone? Why is their 50-day ban? Why are their Twitter accounts? I can go on Twitter and I can find you extremists on Twitter. I've reported one of them, it came back. We agree this breaches our terms and conditions. We have given the person a warning. It was an extremist calling for death for non-Muslims, calling for violence against non-Muslims and telling them to target the women. That's what he was doing. We agree this goes against our terms and conditions. We've given him a warning. Well done, Twitter. You gave someone a warning. Sit him in the fucking naughty corner. Sorry for my language. Sit him in the naughty corner. He's been a naughty boy. It is time that Facebook and Twitter and social media understood that free Robinson or Franson or Golding doesn't mean you have the right to control what we hear. And that isn't an excuse. And people going, oh, no, when Christchurch happened, look, I was as mortified as anybody else. When that happened, it was a horrendous thing to have seen. It was a terrorist attack, make no bones about it. It was a terrorist attack. But straight away, Sadiq Khan pulled out police officer from where? Magic fucking hat. Sadiq pulled out all these police officers and mans all the mosques in London because he feared backlash against Muslims. Think about it logically, Sadiq, you moron. Think about it logically. Muslims have just been killed in a terror attack. Extremist militant Islamics and nutjobs that are Muslims will now launch an attack against non-Muslims and maybe even churches, synagogues, Gurdwas. Your protection should have been to non-Muslims, because that's where the backlash is going to go to. It's not going to go to the Muslim community. And all of this, oh yeah, but we had the attack in Finsbury Park Mosque. I can name you 3 attacks that are right-wing attacks, which they will class as right-wing terror attacks. Joe Cox, Finsbury Park, New Zealand. But Manchester happens, and again they come out and they go, Muslims fear the backlash. So when do non-Muslims get to say they fear backlash? When do non-Muslims count, Sadiq? Not just Sadiq Khan, Theresa Sharia May, as I should call her, Sharia May. What amount of fear that non-Muslims have? That non-Muslims don't fear a backlash. I live a stone's throw from extremists. Don't tell me I don't drive through that area and have fear, because let me tell you now, I do. Is my life not worth equal to a Muslim then? Sadiq, best of 3, best of 4, best of 5. Democracy is democracy. The majority voted to leave. End of discussion. That is all that matters. We voted to get out of a dictatorship. My mother remembers. My mother is 73, 74 now. She was born May the 8th, 1945. She was born the day that war ended. My mum was raised through rationing. She played on bomb sites as a child. She remembers us not only rebuilding this country, we rebuilt Germany too. We are a nation and a country that has the ability to stand on its own 2 feet. But because the left don't believe in their country, they don't believe in the British people, or the English, the Irish, the Scottish, or anybody else, they're so busy whining with their liberal left logic that they cannot see we are a great nation. We can do things. We don't need anybody doing it for us, and we sure as hell don't need unelected bureaucrats dictating our laws to us. There's a guy on LBC, I can't bear him, James O'Brien. He is the most patronising, condescending, he is the perfect example of a liberal left snowflake crybaby. Because all he wants to tell you is how crap this country is. Human rights before the EU. We have the ability to stand on our own 2 feet. We were a great nation then, we are a great nation now. One way or another, Theresa May, we will get out of the EU. Because if you let it run over into the elections, let me tell you now, we will put Brexiteers into the EU. And those Brexiteers will destroy the European Union from the inside out, and serves you something well right for being a bunch of greedy bureaucratic assholes. Because that is what you are. You want us because we are the ones that are keeping your ass afloat with billions and billions of pounds. Imagine what you could do with that money. Maybe, just maybe, if we weren't forking out for the EU, we wouldn't have an NHS dying on its knees. We'd be able to afford to train people, kids leaving school, to become doctors and nurses. Opportunities would be there. So that's what I've really got to say. I have no idea how I end a night alive on here. Take care, stay safe, be good. And I have no idea how to shut this off.